Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
I'm K-Gods.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
We're back.
It's been a while.
It's a dinosaur story. Okay, that completely lost our audience.
So I guess I'm the one who needs to explain myself now for us being out for. Yeah, I guess it's a week since we were supposed to stream, right? I was supposed to record,
yeah,
maybe two. Yeah, I was on vacation.
Yep.
For a little over a week.
Yep. Learning how to clean spuds.
Yep.
I have no fucking idea.
No, time of Forster Anubis, how I spent my winter vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, basically, yeah. Well, the funny thing is about that is when I think of winter vacation, I think of Christmas to about 1 or so weeks into January, because that's usually how the school go back to school situation ends up.
Right.
And again, even though I've been out of school for a long ass time, it's still sort of ingrained in my head the way I think. I mean, same thing's true with summer and things like that.
I mean, a lot of the time, like, I know where I work, a lot of people will take, like, the Christmas Eve all the way through to, like, New Year's Day or the day after New Year's Day off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and not only that, I mean, well, like in Europe, I think they pretty much shut down.
Doesn't surprise me.
Like the entire almost the entire continent, I think. But
Well, that's like Golden Week in Japan.
Right.
it's sweeps month. What are you talking? No.
So,
How's everybody doing?
well, before we do any of that, I'm going to tell you people how to get involved with the show. If you're listening live, what you do is you go to ntrradio.net, you click on the live chat link, give yourself a nickname, hit the button, and you'll join us in the IRC channel. Alternatively, you can take your favorite IRC client, you can point it at irc.ryzen.net, and join us in the # SLC media channel. Alternatively, you can get at us on Twitter at TEAnubis, at VZMK2, at NTR_radio, and as always, the email address to get involved with the show is ntrradio@gmail.com.
Working on that auctioneer voice.
Yeah, I'm auditioning for one of those YouTube videos where they set the cattle auctioneer to a rap beat.
Oh, nice. I was thinking more along the lines of the dude from Storage Wars. It just sounds like he's like having a stroke or something.
All right, so I may have made a discovery while I was on vacation.
Me too.
So I had the girlfriend over, and I showed her the rest of Martian Successor Nadesco, because she and I had watched like the first five episodes a while ago.
Oh, okay.
And I think Nadesco might be my favorite anime. Like previously it was Evangelion.
Interesting.
But after watching it again, this is like the 5th or 6th time I finished it. I think Nadesco might be my favorite anime.
See, maybe I should revisit Nadesco.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, so I'm due for watching it again anyway.
I couldn't get into it, really. I mean, I liked Ruri, and I love that theme song, but I just couldn't get to it. The comedy stuff wasn't really funny to me, other than the reference to Get a Robo.
See, I think the entire...
Sorry.
the whole... Well, I think Nadesco might be one of, if not the best anime at doing the whole transition between this is a comedy anime and oh, this is an anime where people actually really die for real forever. Like there's just so much to Nadesco.
You mean DBZ doesn't count?
Hey.
No, because they get sent to another dimension.
Well, no. The joke was that it's not supposed to be a comedy, but it is.
But like, so I'm thinking back after finishing Nadesco for however many times, and like there's so much to this anime.
Oh yeah, it's one of those.
Even if you just look at the
it's like-
genres, is that it's a comedy anime. It's also
It's an enigma wrapped in a riddle, wrapped in a burrito.
it's a harem anime. It's a romance anime. It's a real robot anime. It's a super robot anime. It's a space opera.
It's Inception. It's got a show within a show.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty weird if you really break it down like that.
And all of the elements work together. Like they all come together in a way that works. In a way that it all makes sense.
I will say this: that Ruri pretty much gave birth to my love of deadpan lolis.
Oh, of course.
I mean, that's where it started for me. That's why I like that character archetype. I don't know why, but I do.
But it's like maybe it's been a while since I've watched Evangelion. Maybe I'm due for a rewatch. But I think that if you take both shows, both shows, like the message both shows are trying to convey, the messages, plural, and like how they execute them and all that, I think Nadesco has more going on than Evangelion.
Yeah,
so
which is saying a lot.
Evangelion's pretty straightforward if you watch it and really pay attention. Nadesco, there's stuff going on in the background that you think doesn't matter but actually does, and you don't notice it until your third time watching it through.
Mm-hmm. Right. And again, it's been a while since I've seen Nadesco, I mean, to be honest. I honestly would have to kind of sit down and really go through it again. Because it's one of those shows where I could see where it would grow on me with time, really. I mean, that's true with a bunch of things that I come back to, and it's like, hey, I actually like this more now.
Yeah, and that's also my case with Nadesco. Like, because I remember watching it first when Toonami was doing that giant robot week thing.
You know what's weird about that is I must have been halfway asleep when that happened because I barely remember that. I mean, I know it happened.
That's where I first saw Ava.
Yep. That's where a lot of people first saw Ava. That's where I first saw Evangelion. I think that's where they first played the Big O.
I guess I'm the weirdo because Evangelion, I actually saw it not long after it came out. I actually got the VHS tapes.
I also saw
two an episode.
Yeah. I also saw they played the last 2 episodes of Robotech on there, which were the last 2 episodes of Mosquito.
Naturally.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, if you want to be confusing, why don't you just play Gaokaiser? I have not run across a single person who understands that franchise. And I'm sure they're out there, but like no one can explain it to me. You know what I mean? It's just like it's one of those things like clearly there's a disconnect between the show versus the games. You probably have to play the games for it to make any sense whatsoever.
Well, the game has like characters that weren't even in the
anime.
Yeah. So
okay, so maybe I'm wrong, and it's not gonna make any more sense.
it's Masami Obari doing Masami Obari things.
Hey,
well, I mean,
the dude animated Viper GTS. He gets full props.
Well, I mean, now my next step is to watch the Nadesco movie, and I already know that I'm barely gonna understand that because I haven't played the game. So I have the game, but I don't speak or read Japanese, so I'm not even gonna know what's going on.
Was that a Saturn game?
Yes.
That explains why I didn't hear about it.
Yeah, exactly.
it's kind of like, hey, there's an Evangelion game that only came out on the N64 in Japan.
We didn't
get it. And then you're just kind of like, it's like, yeah, that explains a lot.
Looks really cool too.
Yeah, every image and stuff I spotted it in like in magazines or whatnot. I was like, huh, too bad we didn't get that.
But yeah, so
I played the Ava Nintendo 64 game.
I have a Discovery as well, although it's not anime related and it's not nearly as cool.
Well, yeah. So to wrap up, friendship ended with Evangelion. March and Successor Nadesco is my new best friend.
Okay, so this might be a regional thing. I don't know, but for some reason I've been out and about, just doing basic stuff, not even just hanging out, just driving around, doing basic chores or errands, however you want to call it. And I've come across something that's a disturbing trend in my area. I don't know what it is. The fashion holocaust.
What?
That
Excuse
is
me?
fucking orange Crocs. And khaki combos.
You know,
It's like
I've given up on.
You don't look cool. You don't look smart. You look like a goddamn rodeo clown.
I've given up on other people in fashion.
Like I mean, I'm not somebody who would say is necessarily Mr. Fashion. I don't particularly dress. I dress casually most of the time. I'm not like in suit and tie and things like that. I only do that usually for certain occasions. But like, do these people not have a mirror? Or do they not have like friends that just like kind of tap them on the shoulder and go, yeah, you look like you belong on a Most Wanted poster. You know, the Joker casting was a long time ago.
Also, as a quick aside, I looked up Giant Robot Week from Toonami. Apparently, they showed episodes 1, 6, and 25 of Nadesco. So
that's going to be kind of an interesting path to try to follow.
Seeing episode 25 of Nadesco after seeing episodes 1 and 6 is like seeing episode 25 of Evangelion after seeing episodes 1 and 6.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it could ever be that bad simply for the fact that the way Ava actually ends.
I kind of think it's that bad. Because
they just showed the first 2.
Yeah, they stayed straight with Ava. They fucking jumped right the fuck around with Nadesco, and I think it's I think you can compare them because the number of plot developments that occur in Nadesco between episodes 1, 6, and 25 it's a lot. It's a lot. You're not gonna understand what's going on.
That would be like, okay, I'll use something that's one of my favorites. That would be like Zeta doing that, going from 1/6 to 25. You'd be like, what the fuck is even going on?
Yeah, exactly.
Not just isn't not to be into spoiler zone, but there's no way you could do that and fill it in. It couldn't be done.
It's the reason Zeta compilation movies don't work. Because something significant happens in every episode of Zeta.
Yeah, there's not
Nadesco.
a filler episode in it. There's 50 episodes, and not a single one is one that you can really do without. That's part of what makes it my favorite one. I mean, not that I think the other ones have filler episodes per se, minus some of the alternative universe ones.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the UC frame is really good about that.
Hmm.
I mean,
So anyway,
most of the kind of, if dare I say, filler material is more like bonus shit to begin with, like compilation movies or something like that.
Yeah.
There might be some extra stuff in those that, yeah.
So anyway, guys, let's talk about stuff we've been watching.
So,
Okay.
And jump into the chat, obviously.
Well, yes, I've already done the chat.
Oh, okay. Who wants to go first? Because there's a
I will.
lot this season.
I'll go ahead.
Go for it.
All right.
All right. I finished up Road to Berlin.
I still need to finish that.
It's pretty. I thought it was a little anticlimactic, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, the ending wasn't as strong, but it's still,
There was a couple things about it that I want to kind of throw out there. Again, not really in the spoiler realms. At least I don't think so.
Right.
Is that like some of the damage collages you see at the end look like they were just straight from photographs.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where, like, I'm sure you've seen this infamous picture, like hanging over Berlin, the fucking Soviet flag from World War II, like, because they got there first, technically. They actually reframed that exact shot, except it's not a Soviet flag.
Naturally.
But it's obviously in reference to that, yeah. And and the big bad, Neuroy of it actually turns into Germania. Now, I'm not sure if or Germania, however you want to say it. How to phrase this? If you're not really keen on Third Reich history, you might not understand what's the big deal with that. But Hitler and Albert Speer wanted to redesign Berlin into this like giant, megalopolis kind of thing. To the point where like the big dome, which I can't remember what it was supposed to be called.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the big dome was like it was going to be like the biggest building ever built at that point.
It was going to have like its own weather formation.
Yeah, because it was so impossibly fucking huge that it would have generated its own weather system. They were actually talking about that on something I was watching. It was
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely fucking nuts. And the Neuroid takes that form. Like if you look at the plans of what it was supposed to look like, it takes that form. I smiled. I was thinking, well, considering how World War II centric this show is, I mean, this franchise is, I think a lot of people watching it probably will get this reference. At least if they get the reference of the names and some of these other things.
When a lot of the Neuroi also tend to take the forms of, I know they did this a lot back in the Older Strike Witches series. They tend to take the forms of experimental weapons that were developed during World War II.
Or the Yamato.
Yep.
Yeah, the big ship. Yeah. Yeah, so, right. And speaking of which, there is, if you haven't seen this yet, there's a George Patton reference that runs throughout the end of it.
Oh, you're right. I remember that. Yeah.
Where he's, like, yelling and whatnot. And he's riding that fucking German experimental tank that was so fucking huge that they really didn't roll out.
Was that the same one as in Girls in Panzer?
The mouse?
The what?
The
mouse?
leopard? Oh, the mouse. That's what I meant.
Yeah. Believe so? I'd have to double check. Anyway, So yeah, I mean that was pretty cool. Finished that up. It took me a little while. I got kind of sidetracked for a bit, but I eventually got done. There's even a fun little cameo of one of the Brave Witches girls.
Ah,
That cause since they're in Berlin Carlsland. Got to keep it in universe, right? And I mean, that was pretty good. I enjoyed the journey. I believe there's actually a short running right now, isn't there? Like World Witches or something like that.
Yeah, it's the same like that one that's like that they did before. That was like the shorts. That was kind of crummy.
Yeah, are they crummy?
See, I don't know if these are crummy.
No,
Yeah,
that's what I was kind of trying to get at.
that one I'm not watching.
Okay, well, I actually have plans for some other stuff too, but
no redo of a raper.
Well, yeah, that actually is one of them. I'm curious. It's one of those things where I'll give it a look. I don't expect to be too enthralled by it. Oh, I mean, I like some of the character designs, but that's really about it.
I'm not watching it, but I am like sort of the obvious fallout.
I'm caught up on it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I would love to hear your opinion
And I mean,
on.
it's pretty much exactly what
it says on the tin.
What it says, like like the first episode's kind of there's not a whole lot to it, but the later episodes, yeah. If you read the synopsis, you basically know exactly what you're in for, and it's all right at that.
Is it about all sorts of things? It's about molesting princesses. It's about molesting princesses. How to do it?
Fucking that guy.
You know that guy? As of 2019, he's still alive. I saw. Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't need to know that.
Yeah. I just made your world more terrible.
But yeah,
no, you just made everybody who lives in Australia's world more terrible.
Yeah. Oh, he's like so old. Like.
Anyway,
yeah,
to not turn this into where in the world is Jeffrey Leonard?
Yeah, but yeah, it's exactly what you're expecting. Like, there's no way you watch this show and you're surprised about what you're getting.
Nah, it's what, like Kiss Sis or whatever.
Yeah, like
in that regard,
how do you
like,
accidentally watch this show? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's like it makes about as much sense as I accidentally fell on this person. Yeah,
but I mean the controversy's doing real well for it.
Yeah, seems to be.
Like, I think it's the #1 show on ATX.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yep.
Yeah, which is apparently the result of incels, accordingly.
I would
all these outlets.
I'd like to have the numbers on how well it's doing for High Dive.
Yeah, Sentai picked it up, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, but not nobody could get the light novel.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Well,
right?
so
Yeah.
let's be precise in our speech.
All right, yeah.
There was a company that was looking into getting the light novel, but they denied it. So they were looking at it and they said no. Now another company could potentially come in and pick it up, but we don't know if that's happened.
She's lost control media.
Listen, 100%. If I had the apparatus to pick up and translate and release a light novel in the United States, 150%, I would do that for Redo of a Healer.
It's basically
there'll
be commercial.
You're basically printing money. Like whoa!
Wait.
You get the most controversial anime of the winter 2021 season, and it's coming out with a light novel, and some other group of idiots decided to leave money on the table. I'll take the money from the table. Yes, please, thank you.
This is how I imagine it. 1 second, I'm sorry. This is how I imagine you in a suit with a fireplace in the background. You advertising this book. Let me tell you why you should be reading Well, you should be read to a healer.
Take it like with a shot glass.
Yeah.
No, okay, so a couple other things I'm planning on watching. I'm thinking about. I haven't really dove into it yet, but it's one of those shows where I meant to and I just really didn't. Eurocamp.
Yes. Start the first season, obviously, and the short.
It's
Hey
come.
Camp.
It's continuing now, so that's kind of generated some interest.
You'll definitely enjoy that, and of course the new season of Non Biori.
Right.
Is-
Well, I still need to watch the second one, I think.
Yeah.
So
And the
I mean,
movie.
that's just a matter of I haven't gotten around to it yet. I'm slow about it. And
He's working on it.
yeah, don't put me in that category. Oof. Ugh. Anyway, beyond that, let's see here. There's of course everybody's all nuts about Wonder Egg Priority.
Oh, let me tell you. Okay, so most of everything else I'm watching is sequels and spin-offs.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best. Like it's not based on anything. There's no manga. There's no light.
So it doesn't have like any legwork already done for it, basically.
Right. It's totally original project.
I've heard it's very Madoka-esque and it's sort of grimness.
It's very Madoka-esque. In fact, I'm calling it the Madoka show of like the Madoka now, but I'm gonna say it's not trying to be like a Madoka, if you know what I mean. Even though it's Madoka-esque.
Whereas like after that came out, there were a slew of shows with magical girls that try to be subversive.
Right.
And it just kind of was like, this is riding the coattails. It's not really.
Also, the production values, especially in the first episode, are really good.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
it's
but I do have to complain about something though, and I haven't even seen it yet.
Yeah.
The title of the show, Wonder Egg Priority. That sounds like a fucking sex toy.
Listen, if it's not 15 words long, I'm all set.
No, well, trust me.
It's not my little
too.
Wonder Egg can't possibly be this beaten. My little Wonder Egg
Be
can't
this
possibly
priority.
be this
My little egg
scrambled.
can't
My
be this
little
much of-
Wonder Egg can't possibly be put into an omelet with some shrimp and some ham. I'm all set. Please.
Now,
stop
actually, the egg aspect is part of the story, so there is a
my little Wonder Egg can't possibly be on a plane in express mode. Traveling to my house to
It's surprisingly very dark.
So I hear.
Some of the subject matter is stuff that you don't really see in anime, and that's from what I hear. It's not doing too well in the sales, like the pre-order sales, probably because of that.
Could be.
I don't care. I'm still enjoying it. Because
It can't be all sunshine and sprinkles.
So of course I'm watching the two Cells at Work shows. The one, so it's like this. Rego Cells at Work. Oh, isn't that cute? Oh, the platelets are helping out again. Cells at Work Black. Get me out of here!
Anyway.
So, yeah, very you're gonna want to be doing something after that show. Like, I don't want my cells to be in pain anymore.
Yeah, well, you could always marinate your chicken with Mountain Dew.
No. Please don't do that. That's how you end up at Cells at Work Black.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, I think that
for those of you who don't know, I'm gonna explain that because people are like, what? There's this idiot out there. I'm not gonna give him his name. Not gonna say his name because I don't want to give him more press than he deserves.
I think a lot of people know who he is, but I won't. Yeah, obviously.
Let's just put it this way: he's some fat idiot who apparently thinks he's a movie critic
and has type 2 diabetes from his lifestyle.
Well, I was gonna say, it's because he marinates his chicken with Mountain Dew. I mean, sure, that didn't help. Anyway, so that's where that comes from. There was a And the thing was, this wasn't just something somebody said. There was photographic evidence of this. So it's like not just like some kind of tales from the internet shit or whatever, or something like the ceiling where you weren't sure if it was true or not.
The ceiling.
But at the same time, you're thinking, does it really matter? Yeah, that's some stuff I'm kind of looking into watching. Not him marinating. Ugh.
Oh, so Anubis, are you watching bottom tier Tomozaki-kun?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because that's
You
actually
want
one
me
of
to
the
tell
ones.
you about the best show of this season? Bottom tier character Tomozaki.
It's okay. I'm not as into it as you are,
Oh,
but I'm gonna
that
keep
show-
watching it for your enthusiasm.
That show pumps me up so much.
I do like the main girl though, mostly because she looks exactly like my avatar.
Yeah.
No, you didn't fucking favorite that on my Twitter. You didn't see that how one girl looks like this girl from Iron Master Shining Colors, and then the other one looks like the other girl from
Damn,
Shining
VZ
Colors.
just called me out for not seeing one of his tweets.
I put it in your Discord. I'm like, Anubis, look at this. It's like,
But yeah, the show is great. It looks great. The story's great. The characters are great. Just fucking watch it. I can't do justice to it by just describing it.
How to Get a Social Life, the anime.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Well, the dojins will be fun,
Looking forward to it.
or they'll be horrible beyond description. We'll see.
Not looking forward to it.
And the main girl's trying to like put it in video game terms because that's all he can relate to.
So basically, like the pure ponage folks.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, never mind then.
But the guy is really into like a sort of it's a parody on
It's Smash.
Smash.
It's
yeah.
basically Smash. Which
Okay, so
I'm
does it
not
smell
necessarily
as
the
bad?
happiest about, but it does give the reason why he's so antisocial.
So is it just like they smell real bad? When you're talking about Smash,
But yeah, great show. Watch it. I can't do justice to it.
does it
I
smell like
fucking-
marinated chicken and Mountain Dew?
Nah, let's not go there.
I did watch the first episode of X-Arm just to make myself laugh and cringe because that was the anti Wonder Egg Priority anime. That was the one that's the Crunchyroll original.
Yeah.
And
All anyone has to say about it is how awful it is.
yeah, it's basically trying to do Ghost in the Shell on like a non-existent budget. It's like Babby's first like kind of cyberpunkish show, but not very and the thing is it's based off of manga. But for some reason, they decided to just like not care.
Let's see here. I remember there was, from the chat. I remember there was a particularly spicy take about Tomozaki from ANN.
Yeah. ANN didn't like it. Okay, so like 4 out of the 5 people who previewed the show on ANN didn't have had lukewarm takes about it, and Theron Martin gave it a 4 out of 5.
So basically it's predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, because like think about it, like Theron Martin was the only one who didn't completely have a cow about Ryu of the Healer.
I mean, fuck, like.
It's like if that doesn't tell you that he's a token member of their crew.
But so I'm sitting here looking at the Tomozaki thing. It's like, number one, I kind of don't know what I was expecting. But number two, at the same time, it's the story of a gamer dude like becoming a functioning member of society. They should be all over this.
What did they like about it again? The other ones?
Let's find some, because I know that it's a really weird take, because
Well, did it? Okay. Anybody that looked at the preview chart, did anybody wig out about Trump or something like that? I think that would have been amusing.
I don't think anything. Well, to be fair, I only really read the Tomozaki previews, but I don't think any of them did that.
No, but
okay,
all
here's an excerpt, and this is coming from. Where is this coming from? Because this looks like it's coming from the middle of a paragraph, but I don't know what. Here it is. This is Rebecca
Technical
Silverman.
difficulties.
No, I just suck at looking at paragraphs. This is from Rebecca Silverman.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So why is this that this episode rubbed me the wrong way so much? The answer is probably in the premise's underlying implication, which is that Tomozaki isn't fine the way he is. There's nothing wrong with not being social in high school, or ever. And if he's okay with it, then it's definitely not always place to try and reform him. There's definitely some wiggle room in that Tomozaki isn't particularly happy. He does feel like life operates without rules and logic, though it's not entirely clear whether that frustrates him or actively upsets him. And Aoi is right. There are basic social conventions that could make Tomozaki's life easier. It's just the condescending way she goes about setting up her campaign to make him adopt a quote-unquote normal persona in school that's annoying. His goal is to get a girlfriend by the end of the school year? How is that a marker of normie success? What if he doesn't want a girlfriend? Yes, Aoi is operating based on rules of teenage status symbols, but she's definitely not taking Tomozaki as a person into consideration. Like, we suddenly started actually caring what the loser male protagonist in romance anime thinks.
I was about to say, it's like, wait, so over the last 20 years where you people have been reviewing stuff and you've bitched about characters like this that are losers or whatnot, that they need to get their shit together or whatever, and now all of a sudden you're going to pretend that you didn't say that kind of crap?
Also,
Really?
I like how it's like, it's not clear whether that's because it frustrates him or it actively upsets him. It's very clear that he's miserable. They make that very clear throughout his body language, his internal monologue. It's very clear that he's got this perpetual loser frame and he's not fucking happy about it. But I don't know. I don't know if we watched the right anime. I don't know if we watched the same anime.
Yeah, you ever notice that these people always find the most fucking inane bullshit to complain about?
It's weird. It's a really weird thing to complain about, because this is the story of a gamer loser male otaku protagonist becoming a functioning member of society, and now it's, well, maybe he doesn't want to do that, and that's okay, when that's never been okay.
Say, oh, you mean like how you and your fucking clique of people spent years upon years of screaming about losers and everything else? Come on now.
I don't know. All I know is Tomozaki, bottom tier character Tomozaki, is the best anime of the 2021 winter season, and that's it. ANN doesn't think so, but ANN has been like literally the only thing we use ANN for nowadays is to
a punching bag.
Is to see what the worst takes on anime are. So
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, if I mean, you would think that their whole supporting, whether it was not on purpose or not, a cult would have damaged their rep a little more. But it really didn't.
Honestly, I think the rep was pretty damaged to begin with. Even before that, it's like
with people like us, it always was. But yeah,
ANN supporting cult propaganda. okay, I can believe that. Like
Oh yeah,
that was the reaction to not just us, but a lot of people. It's like ANN supporting it.
they'd still support it if it was. They'd still be supporting it if it was some ultra left wing shit.
Hey, it's like ANN supporting the cult. Yeah, I believe it. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it with regard to bottom tier character Tomisaki. Anything else?
Anybody else want to take a turn at the wheel?
Nah, I think I'm good.
So it definitely looks like this is going to be a stronger season for sure.
I like
yeah,
this season.
yeah.
All like the
Because last season, like we discussed, was I don't want to say it was crap, but it really did. And it wasn't their fault. I mean,
Well,
It just-
nah, the new Love Life was excellent, but the season's definitely like the strongest.
one show does not make a good season.
yeah, there were like a couple shows last season, but this season, like, and I'm only watching two shows week to week. There's a lot that I'm gonna have to catch up on. Cells at Work Black, Wonder Egg Priority. I might actually pick that up when during the season here. I want to check out the new Strike, which is like there's a lot, and
but
from the little I've seen of the next coming seasons, it's
gonna get it though. So.
well, of course, and so I'm gonna have to skirt around that. But anyway, so we have a selection of 3 or so micro topics. So VZ, you were the one who came up with this one. Basic premise is the West overtaking anime.
Yes, that was my.
Which brings to mind the question: if it does, is it even still anime?
Well, yeah, okay. You know, like how there's a lot of this sort of anime becoming more popular in the and it has been more popular in the West. In fact, it's more popular than ever in the West. But Western companies are sort of more investing into the production field.
Mm-hmm.
Crunchyroll and all that.
You're basically talking about the peripherals,
right?
Rather than just like the consumption aspect of
and
it.
trying to steer what gets made. And it's like it's one of those yes and no questions. And I say that because what did they announce? It's like Ultra. Oh yeah, they're doing a Star Wars anime. They're doing a.
To be fair, that wouldn't have even been weird even in the 80s.
True.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. There was another really Western thing. Maybe Pacific Rim, I think it was. It was something like
Of
that.
all the Western properties that could be taken and put into anime, that's probably the number one Western movie property that could be taken.
Oh yeah, I heard they're doing a Blade Runner.
That's
Again, that's not too surprising because stuff like Ghost in the Shell already was inspired by it.
Yeah.
If these things are good, I'm on board. But
because they're not
if these things are good,
inherently a terrible idea, but
I mean, so like they made a whole bunch of these like anime compilation things for properties like Mass Effect, Halo. There were a few others that slipped my mind right now, but like, this goes back to like the Animatrix.
Yeah.
So like it's not really a new paradigm.
Oh, there was
it's
the Batman. There was the Batman one.
Yep. So it's not really a new thing. It's just that now it's a concern because companies like Crunchyroll and Funimation are sitting on these production committees, and both of those companies have a track record, and it's not a good track record. And it's that, and also the advent of Netflix. Because Netflix is paying some 2 or 3 times the normal budget for to get anime produced just for Netflix. So like they're rolling really hard on anime, and it remains to be seen because a lot of Netflix stuff is, as far as I've heard, is hit or miss.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Violent Evergarden was paid for by Netflix, but of course it wasn't done by them. It was Kyoani.
Well, so here's the thing. Netflix doesn't make anime, they commission anime to be made. Now, I don't quite know if Violet Evergarden was something Netflix specifically commissioned to be made. I do know, but what we do know and what we can glean from the marketing is
No,
that
it was that they had the first dibs on, stream. It was that way they stream exclusively on Netflix. That's it.
They paid for an exclusive license, and they paid to be able to market it as, okay, this is a Netflix series. And that's sort of like when we talk about American companies in getting involved with the anime industry, like that's something that's kind of missed in the details. Is sometimes it's with the American company paying a animation studio or paying to be part of a team making this anime. Like, we want this anime made, and so we're gonna pay for it. Versus we're paying to be able to put it on our platform exclusively for a longer period of time than normal. Like, more than just a regular license. We're being on this production committee. We're funding the production of this anime so we can hold this license basically indefinitely, which is a lot of the reason why Funimation and Crunchyroll like to sit on production committees, because it means their licenses don't expire.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the ultimate coup they would have for like DBZ or something like that.
But
I mean, obviously that's not it's not going to happen that way, but you know what I mean.
Right. But of course, the truth is that no, it's not gonna. Western market is gonna, of course, overtake everything because there's so much that it's like, you'll never get a Western company to do something like a Non Biori or a Laid Back Camp. Obviously,
Yeah. I just realized you said that.
So like it's that, and like people talk about how something like 46% of the entire anime industry's revenue comes from overseas. And because a lot of that
bullshit.
Well, it's not that it's bullshit, it's very true, but
it's not giving you the whole story.
It's not, you're not given the whole context, because a lot of
people here assume that means here.
Bingo, a lot of that talk comes from America, so people assume that overseas means America. But what we saw in the 2019 anime industry report is one change in policy in China flattened the growth for overseas. So it's not even that like the whole industry in China collapsed. No, one policy changed, and it scared off the investors. So when we talk about the overseas taking over the anime industry, or the US taking over the anime industry, the US alone doesn't have that sort of, like, if there was a massive slowdown in the US, then the anime industry would definitely feel it. But
isn't China the biggest consumer for anime?
No. It's complicated. I don't know for sure if they're the biggest consumer or not, but I know that the US has the most contracts with the anime industry. And this isn't always the case. So a few years ago, there was a lot of concern in the Japanese anime industry because China had overtaken the US in terms of the number of contracts.
What was the change in policy with China that
give me a second, I'll pull it up. But it was something regarding it was a media restriction type policy. So like, I believe the case was that they
Because I know certain series are totally banned in Japan. That I mean, it's banned in China. But yeah, I think Attack on Titan is banned. I know the one that always makes me laugh is Galco-chan. They don't like
here it is.
they don't like Garu.
Okay,
Too
so
slutty.
this from the 2019 Anime Industry Report. A lot of people in quote, a lot of people in the industry mention the slowdown in the Chinese market as the major factor. It is widely known that China imposes strict regulations on expressions in media content, including movies and TV. On the other hand, the regulations on the internet were considered rather mild until recently. China, however, decided to impose regulations as strict as those applied on the existing media on the internet due to its growing impact. So they applied the same restrictions that were in place for TV and whatnot onto internet media, and that scared the investors off.
So there you have it.
So again, and this is something we talked about a couple episodes ago. This is something I've been harping on about. This is something like only me and NTR Radio are harping on about, by the way, and people in the Japanese anime industry, but you're not going to hear a lot of that over here.
No, I mean, I actually read something that was it was translated by somebody. Some concerns coming from actual animators and stuff.
Oh yeah.
That were talking about how, like, okay, things like outsourcing and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, they I believe this was in 2018. They came out with an issue. There's an well, there was. I don't think it's in print anymore. There was a magazine called Anime B Science, like a merge between business and science, that talked about the business behind anime. And they came out with an English issue in 2018, which was the year we got that report that China had overtaken the US in terms of contracts. And
maybe that's what I originally saw.
And yeah, they were concerned that Japan might become basically the animation factory for China, and that eventually China is going to want to bring all of that production in country.
In-house.
And Japan is going to be left high and dry if they're relying on that overseas market. So there is concern inside the industry, but the only place you hear about it in the US is NTR Radio and OtakuEntrepreneur.com.
Apparently. I certainly haven't seen it being filtered out of any other so-called anime site. But then again, to be fair, I haven't been looking lately either. But
yeah, I mean, true. But it's an odd thing, and it's a major concern for the industry, and it's weird that we haven't heard anything on that level. But I mean, speaking of the industry, I had somewhat of an internal rant that kind of made it out onto Twitter over the last week or so. And it was we had mentioned that the publisher had denied redo of Healer for the light novel for translation and distribution in the US. And there were some tweets under there saying, basically telling the author, oh, don't even bother publishing in the US, they'll just censor it. You'd be better publishing it overseas and we can just buy it over there. And that kind of enraged me, because it's a fundamental, it's like giving up. Like, we can't do anything to improve the industry over there, so we're just gonna...
wonder how many of those were actually bad actors.
Here's my thing. I don't think they're bad actors. I don't think that they're trying to damage the work. I think they honestly think that they're doing the author and the work a favor, which isn't the case, because here's what nobody wants to... Here's the real truth nobody wants to understand, nobody wants to talk about with regard to how to fix the damage within the anime industry in the United States. It's necessary that there's a healthy market for anime in the US domestically. As far as without whatever angle you want to approach it from a support the industry angle. Oh, okay. If we talk about if we want to support the industry, then it's better if we import stuff, or it's better if we're getting closer to supporting the industry that way. And that may be true, but we're eliminating what could arguably be considered a necessary part of the cycle. That's number one. Number two, you could approach it from just a pure business angle. It's like, okay, the Western industry is fucking up, so we're just gonna abandon the Western industry. What's gonna be the result of that? The Western industry is not gonna die, not on its own, not for a long time. They're gonna continue fucking up more. Like, what do people think is gonna happen if just no one brings over nobody's encouraged to bring over Redo, the light novel, and we just buy the Japanese version and read the like we buy the Japanese version to support it and read the translation. Okay, is that going to fix the market, or is that going to enable people to continue fucking up?
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of routing it in a way.
I wrote an article a while back on Otaku Entrepreneur called like Japan Can't Fix Problems with U.S. Companies, because like one of the common refrains when we see, they're censoring this game or they're censoring this anime is, like, somebody tell the Japanese people involved with this about it, because they're gonna, because like they're gonna do something.
Right, and they won't, because once they give over that license, they no longer care.
They have the money.
That part of it's done. So unless they're like anal retentive or hyper invested in something, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't work that way.
And here's the second thing, is like I wrote a guest post for a website a while ago, talking about why more companies don't try to do the Aniplex of America thing and set up shop over here, like set up a branch over here. And like that's kind of an easy question to answer when you consider what some of the other companies, like what became of some of the other companies that tried to do that. But it's like, okay, you're
Pony Canyon.
Pony Canyons or Pony Canyon.
Didn't Kodansha try to do that?
Kodansha, I believe.
No, Kodansha's doing well with their manga stuff. You're thinking
No, I mean, yeah. Blah.
Well, here's the problem. It's like you're
thinking of Bandai.
You're a Japanese company. You're a Japanese company that handles licenses for anime, and you have two choices. The U.S. people want this anime, so here's what you're either gonna do: one, bring it, establish the branch there, bring it over there, translate it there, distribute it there, market it there. All of which you don't quite know how to do, because you're a Japanese company and trying to market in the United States. Or, by the way, you're on the hook for all that. So if it turns out to be a flop, either just because the U.S. at large doesn't like it, or because you fucked up and you did a bad job with the release, which again is a good chance because you don't understand the U.S. market. You're a Japanese company. Or let's see what's behind curtain number 2. A company based in the US that does this habitually for a living, that's how they make their money, will pay you for the privilege to do all that.
And it also pretty much gives you sort of freedom to basically, once it's in their court, you no longer have to worry about it.
Yeah. Plus, all the, like, it compartmentalizes everything.
Mm-hmm.
If the release is bad, who are they gonna get mad at? They're gonna get mad at the fucking company.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're gonna get pissed off at Kenji Sixpack over there.
Yeah, it's not gonna reach the Japanese industry. It insulates the Japanese industry from the more volatile ups and downs of the American market.
So I mean, it's not a surprise they're doing that, and you could even argue it's a smart thing. That now this doesn't let the people over here off the hook for fucking up.
No, of course not. And that's the thing, is it's important to hold the market and the industry over here accountable. And part of that is that why is it that there are only 3 like general purpose anime licensing firms? Like Crunchyroll, Funimation, Sentai Filmworks. Everyone else is kind of a specialty house.
Yeah. I mean, there used to be more, but a lot of them have either died off or got merged into other things or all kinds of stuff.
Well, I mean, that's not even necessarily really true. A lot of them died off, sure, but Funimation, they've been around for a fucking while.
Yeah.
Crunchyroll, they're newcomers, but again, they're the second largest. Sentai Filmworks, it's basically ADV.
It's basically sort of the life bubble of ADV.
What about Nozomi and
Nozomi's kind of a specialty house.
Well, okay. They're also sort of a completely in-house thing, aren't they?
Yeah, so Nozomi's an interesting company. Cause, like,
I mean, I know you did a lot of research for a book you're working on, or
yeah, dude, the
you're
story,
finished, right?
Just about the story behind Nozomi and Right Stuff is wild.
We don't have time for it probably right now.
No, we don't. But
yeah, I didn't think so.
It's a wild story, and it kind of goes to show just how scrappy a lot of the industry was way back in like the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, we're gonna try and get Astro Boy out in the US. Well, all of the original prints were fucking destroyed. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna like go globe-trotting, trying to track down TV prints episode by episode.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really neither here nor there. Nozomi, as it stands right now, was mostly a specialty house. Media Blasters barely exists.
Media Blasters is like that fucking Malaysian flight at this point.
It's a skeleton crew company.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, put it this way, it's pretty bad when the only thing they hold, and they technically don't anymore. The only thing they hold that anybody still even mentions is fucking Bible Black, which again now belongs to Faku.
Well, they just released a Blu-ray version of, and I can't believe they did, of Aiken.
Talk about a waste of resources.
Apparently, people like Aiken. There's people that legitimately like Aiken. I don't know if
over the top. All 7 of those people can go ahead and have fun with that anime.
Won't even cover the cost to actually cover that first run of prints.
Here's my problem, is the Western otaku community. I guarantee you that collectively, there's enough talent in the Western otaku community to be able to pull off at least one of these companies.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
But collectively, a reaction to any problem in the Western industry is to run away and throw rocks at the people causing the problems. Like, not
Seems
solve the
like it.
problem, but we run away and we throw rocks. And it's like part of the issue is that there's
I think there's a certain level of apathy involved
100% definitely a level of apathy involved, and
because it's like it's one of those things like, well, someone else needs to fix it.
yeah, well, I
Can
will-
someone else do it?
I
Like
will
Homer Simpson.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically.
Well, I will point out that apathy is, I can't think of a situation where apathy has solved a problem.
No, just skirting responsibility for stuff.
It usually just lets things become worse.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just like,
But so like we've had years and years of the establishment kind of trying to pathologize and vilify the ways in which otaku engage with anime. And
yes.
it feels, to a certain extent, it feels like we kind of said, okay, sure, if you're gonna treat us like we're a virus, we're just gonna go away. And on some level, yeah, sure, I get it, but on another level, we're quickly approaching like a redo of the 4Kids era, and we're pissed about that, but we haven't done the necessary steps to make sure that that doesn't happen. And so when I see people in talking to the redo author saying, "Oh well, don't bring it over to the US, they're just gonna censor it," I'm like, "Oh well." Maybe this is out of line, but if that's going to be the reaction, maybe we deserve it. And I say we, not like the people who understand the problem, but
The royal we.
the greater Western otaku community who categorically refuses to demand a seat at the table. Maybe we kind of deserve it. If that's the reaction, that we're gonna abandon the concept of a market and instead try and do everything but actually solve the problem.
Again, that it really does sort of come back to that. Can't someone else do it? I mean, it does sort of seem to that, you know, if you ever need any help, don't hesitate to ask someone else first, kind of thing.
Hey. And so that brings us into our third micro topic. Because here's a particular instance where I'm not certain people are going to step up to solve the problem.
Okay.
So we understand that throughout 2020 and into 2021, there's a lot of conventions getting canceled.
Right, because, I mean, the big elephant in the room, as it were.
Yeah. The plot event, as Shinden calls it. So...
yes, the thing that has ruined my dream of Ghetto Robo.
So by the way, we talked a little bit about this last episode, toward the tail end of last episode. There was a convention in Florida called Otaku Fest, and they basically did the same shit to Otaku Fest that they did to Anime Dallas, where they made a list of people who had said that they were in attendance. Made a list of vendors, made a list of like staff, companies that worked with that convention and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
The list allegedly also included minors, so there's also that. Once again, I'll reiterate that's unacceptable. We don't have to turn the community into East Germany, but that also gets into the issue. So I think that going into like conventions reopening and whatnot, there's going to be a demographic split in the attendance at conventions. What do I mean by a demographic split? I mean that there is a particular sort of people who are the kind of person who would make a list of people in attendance at a convention, and the kind of person who would be on board with someone making a list. Let me emphasize how fucked up this is. If you decided to go to Otaku Fest in Florida, and you decided to post that on Twitter, you might have been put on a list of people to of people. Now they say, "Oh, don't harass
what's the list
people."
for again?
The list was of people who were in attendance to Otaku Fest, which was an anime convention that happened, I think, a week or so ago in Florida.
Oh, but why is it bad to be on the list again?
Well, so
He's getting there.
It's.
Right. I'm just trying to follow your.
He isn't done.
Well, so yeah, it's the idea that because we have this concern over COVID-19, over the plot event, that now that we're going to start publishing a list of people who were in attendance at this convention.
For what nefarious usage?
They say, "Oh, don't harass the people on the list," but because here's the thing.
Then what's the fucking point of you making the list, asshole?
The point of making a list is to be a hero.
Oh, I get
On
it.
social
People
media.
that shouldn't have gone out. That well, I'm not gonna.
Whether or not
Yes,
they
that
should have
argument.
gone
But
out is a
I know
hero
what you
there.
mean, yeah.
The point is,
What purpose could you possibly have for making this list with if it is not some sort of sinister or nefarious purpose?
There's no circumstance under which
That you've made this list that's not going to be used for some specific circumstance that's not going to be pleasant.
Exactly. No, there's no way you make that list and it's not nefarious.
Yeah.
So you might think it's not nefarious, but it actually is nefarious.
It's not like, hey, these are people that are gonna be put on a raffle to win free shit.
But so if you're that kind of person, then chances are, I'm gonna make the assumption, even when it's deemed safe, whenever that is, for convention, which by the way that's a completely different kettle of fish I might get into, but when it is deemed safe to go to conventions, your chances are good you probably won't feel safe going to conventions. That's number one. Chances are also good that because they're between now and when it's safe, there's still going to be conventions going on. There's still going to be people in attendance at those conventions. The people in attendance at those conventions don't give a fuck what rando anime convention people on Twitter have to say. That's obvious because they're at the convention.
I was gonna say they wouldn't fucking be there.
So by the time that it's safe to go to conventions again, there's already going to be a demographic of people who have been at conventions for the past however many months. And my hypothesis is that it's between that and there's likely going to be some sort of a reset button in the convention scene with regards to like just which conventions are like who's dead, who's alive, anime convention edition. Because I just got an email earlier this week, I think, that Otakon, the second biggest anime convention in the eastern United States, is quickly approaching a point where they're either going to have to start planning Otakon 2021 or there will not be an Otakon 2022. This is the second biggest anime convention on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And they're having financial problems.
That should tell you that the small ones are fucked.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think happens to the like lower mid-level local con at the Radisson?
They are going to be run out like a mom and pop store at with a Walmart coming in.
So what? So it's going to be two things. It's going to be one, there will have to be people who step up to
start new ones.
Only exactly. Either revive or start new conventions.
Because it's the only way for that to actually work.
Yeah, for like every region.
Yeah. That's not to be a doomer. It's certainly possible. It happened the first time.
I mean, I for one am hopeful. Because here's the thing.
People are going to want to go back to that.
People are going to want to go back, and this is a chance to how to put this. This is a chance to kind of shake around the Etch-a-Sketch on all the bad paradigms that have gone on in convention culture for the past however many years.
I could only wish that will happen, but I doubt it.
I don't know, man. Because here's my thing. And this is number two. Number two is you're going to see that demographic split. And the people who end up going to conventions between now and whenever it's safe, quote unquote, they're not going to be the same people who are normally convention culture people, because all those people are waiting until it's safe.
Right.
They're going to be the people who are obviously less susceptible to social pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, like, that tends to have certain paradigms associated with it. And those paradigms don't tend to agree with the same kind of average convention culture sort of thing, sort of way of doing things.
Would you mind? Again, I think I know where you're going with it, but could you go ahead and give an example of what you mean?
So you get people, and here's my thing. I don't care, but there are a lot of people who will complain about, well, take the, no, that's a bad example, but there are people who will complain about, like, oh, the convention's doing like a feminism and anime panel. Again,
yeah.
I'm not the kind of person who's going to care about that, but some people might care about that. But the people who likely are running that panel probably aren't going to conventions because they're waiting until it's safe. Just looking at common paradigms among the kind of people who tend to have those, who tend to care a lot about that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I suppose.
So you're less likely to really care about feminism in anime or something like that, if you're also the kind of person who is resistant enough to social pressure to go to conventions.
To be already, going to one.
Exactly. So that's the kind of demographic split I'm talking about. To where when it is safe, again, whenever that is, the people who are both at the same time simultaneously going, I miss conventions so much, and listen, if you're going to XYZ convention, your mom's ugly, you're ugly, you look like an HDMI cord, all that kind of thing, they might be in for a culture shock when they do return to conventions. Because I don't think it's going to be the same kind of culture.
That should be an interesting thing to see play out.
Well, so here's part of the thing.
Assuming it plays out as you are thinking.
Assuming it plays out. This is a hypothesis. But
obviously you're not. Well, I mean, you should know. I mean, time travel.
I mean, I can't tell.
I know you're not allowed to discuss it with me.
But so, here's the thing: is like, what kind of convention culture spawned people like Hazukari?
The latter.
The kind that is also
super interested in all these sort of certain lenses of viewing things.
Super interested in social pressure, trying to social pressure people into conforming behaviorally. And it's really weird how that kind of culture also gave rise to someone who used social pressure to victimize people habitually, allegedly. But yes, that's my hypothesis.
Is Hazukari. Anyway.
The dude keeps coming back on Twitter, by the way.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that. I was thinking, doesn't he keep trying to sneak his way back?
Yeah, and he's...
And like they catch him really fast. Too.
Yeah, because he keeps posting photos of himself.
Yeah, it's like people know who you fucking are now. Like that ship has sailed. You're not fucking you're not the Invisible Man or whatever. You know, that would be like if R. Kelly kept trying to come back.
Yeah,
like it's like we've seen you. Yeah, I you know what I mean? It's like, hey guys, can I join in? No. You're fucking on girls and shit. Get out of here.
So here's the thing, and it doesn't even stop at the attendees, or like, or just to throw it out there, are ANN people going to be attending a whole lot of conventions between now and when it's safe?
Oh fuck no.
I doubt it.
They could get free tickets, and I doubt they would.
Yeah. So the types of guests, the types of voices you will hear are going to be completely different. And I think that might remains to be seen whether it's going to be good or bad, but I think that might affect some change on the culture.
Again, it'll be interesting to see it play out. It will certainly probably revisit it after a while.
Yeah, after
just to see kind of if it ended up doing what you said it would, or
after a few more conventions have kind of come and gone, after a few more lists have been made, after we start seeing like conventions coming back at scale, it's going to be interesting to see what's still left and what's gone forever. So no, there's a few things I already know that's gone forever. Tokyo Attack, gone forever. So like, I don't know where Connecticut.
Was that a convention? That was a convention?
No, Tokyo Attack is a company that takes like big Japanese arcade cabinets. So like they have a whole bunch of They got the
Oh
rhythm
right, you were
games.
telling me about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they got the Time Crisis. They got a whole bunch of the like Astro City, Sega cabinets, and whatnot.
Yeah.
They're gone forever.
Ah. Well, no.
And so
Sign of
and,
times.
and like there's also like this whole paradigm of if you're an artist that went and sold at this convention, fuck you, not understanding that they need money too. They got to make a living too. There's not it's not like it's not that simple. It's not that just oh well don't go. That also means that they're out their booth fee. And so we can make an argument about oh what well the convention should compensate their booth fee, but that's not necessarily fair to the artists that do show up. So it's a lot of things, and it takes like a level of understanding of business and money to understand why these things are the way they are. Not a high level of understanding, but a level of understanding that a lot of people seem to lack because they're too busy chasing clout on social media to
The same people who think that workers should get paid as much as the actual owner.
I mean
Don't realize why that doesn't work.
I mean
Speaking of which, I'm sorry to do on a semi-off topic thing, but that reminds me of some of the hilarious shit take I saw on one of the episodes being reviewed for Wonder Egg Priority as a criticism on idols and capitalism. And I'm just like,
I'm just not even going to answer that.
Yeah,
I'm not
I'm
gonna.
just like, no.
I can't even dignify that with a response. I have an entire spiel on.
I mean, that's one of those things that's just too stupid. It's not even worth fucking responding to.
It's a halfway political take
It's like,
inserted into
this thing happened because of capitalism. I'm like, no.
No, it's
Yeah,
a stupid halfway political take inserted into the preview of the first episode of an anime, and we've been over this before with C3 Boo. It was shitty then. It was shitty and inappropriate then. It's shitty and inappropriate now.
Oh, and again, that's one of those things that's funny because the kind of people that say dumb shit like that are usually trying to fucking pimp their e-begging shit too.
Yeah, they're
because
e-begging
good
while
journalism costs money, which
e-begging while
explains
having
why
their
you're a shitter.
hammer and sickle in their profile.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother thing we could talk about, but
yeah, that's my hypothesis on the convention scene. I think that.
Here. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Continue on.
Yeah, I think that if you're
once the smoke clears.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, the kind of person who is going to be at a convention doesn't care about the same shit that
These people care about.
the people making lists and praising people making lists care about.
Obviously not.
I think they're a little. Well, no, I'm not going to make that judgment. But I think that they're definitely less susceptible to social pressure, and that's people underestimate how big a factor that is, insofar as okay, how's this person going to behave? What is this person going to believe?
Right, because like if you can't bully or browbeat somebody with isms and phobes and stuff, your power is largely gone for these people.
Yep, you can't scare them out of the perfect analogy. Don't try and battle the people who spend $150 on anime figures habitually.
Yeah. Anyway, by the way, I found it because I took a screen cap.
Speaking of capitalism.
Yeah, I'm not gonna read the whole thing because I don't want to do any spoilers.
If it's about what you just said, wait till after the show.
Oh no, it's really funny. I think.
No. I insist. I don't want to hear that stupid shit.
Okay, fine.
But
Okay.
yeah, so it's the same paradigm as don't don't argue with people who spend $150 on anime figures because you're not going to social pressure them into not spending $150 on anime figures. At the same paradigm, don't battle people who decide to go to Otaku Fest. Like they know, yes, they know that there's a disease going around. Yeah, like they know. There's no way they don't know.
Anybody who has an electronic device of any kind, whether that be a TV, a radio, a phone, fucking probably a vibrator, knows.
And so yeah, please believe me, they know. They're going anyway.
Vibrator with
And the
5G
fact that
in
they're
it.
going anyway should tell you, oh well, they're not gonna be social pressured into not doing what they're gonna do.
Midas touch.
So that's the kind of person who's gonna be going that's the kind of person who's the only person who's gonna be going to conventions over the next several months. And
Now,
it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Ultimately, what does that mean, though?
Ultimately, here's what I think it means. I think that coupled with the big reset button on the convention scene, where a lot of conventions are going to die off and have to be replaced, I think that's going to lead to a number of shifts in how conventions are run, who is running conventions, who is doing events at conventions. Like, so there are a number of like major convention speakers that go around to different conventions. Some of them are paid, doing panels and whatnot. How many of those people are going to be going to conventions over the course of between now and whenever it's safe?
Oh, right.
I'm going to assume not a whole lot of them.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Now, if you're real prolific and you're real resistant to social pressure, and you've assessed your own risk and you know that it's safe to go out and try to get the bag, there might be an opportunity at some of these conventions that are still running to become that person.
well, I mean, here's the last I'm probably gonna say about all this. And it's what I'm gleaming kind of from your statements and sort of what I know about a lot of all this. I mean, I won't pretend to be an expert on the way they run per se. I mean, I've never been part of the organization part of it. But in any case, what you seem to, or at least what I'm getting from what you're saying, is that in many cases, a lot of the reasons a lot of these more activist types can sort of plunder these cons and stuff is because they can piggyback off of the infrastructure as it already is.
Yeah, the established infrastructure.
And if it has to be reset, that is gone, and they would either have to do it all over again or just won't bother.
Yeah, the established infrastructure
does not allow. It's the only thing that allows them to even do that.
Well, it advantages them because they're connected to the people who are in charge.
Which dovetails very nicely into this last topic, I think. Cronyism.
Yeah, so we talked about Funimation and DBZ earlier.
Mm-hmm. This was one of those things that you told me, and I just like almost laughed. Just like, wow, that makes so much sense. That makes more sense now than it puts everything in a perspective where it's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, so I don't know how many people know this, but Gen Fukunaga, founder of Funimation, his uncle is
current butt hurt from Evangelion. get basically being swiped from them for Netflix.
Yeah, though I think at this point Gen Fukunaga has exited Funimation, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, either way, it still wouldn't matter. Go ahead. For this point, it wouldn't matter.
So, So his uncle was, at the time Funimation started, a producer at Toei Animation.
Now, why is that important? Because who makes Dragon Ball Z?
So
I'll give you a little bit of time.
So I'm not gonna say that's the reason Funimation has Dragon Ball Z and has had Dragon Ball Z forever, but I am going to say that it's bad to have a conflict of interest, and it's just as bad to have something that appears to be a conflict of interest.
Yeah. So it's like, come on, people.
And that's one. That's just one major.
Right. And it does make me wonder, while you were sort of gathering intel for your book, that how much stuff you ran across like that.
Well, so I didn't focus on Funimation. I'm
No,
contemplating
I'm not
telling.
saying that. I mean in general.
Here's the thing. The businesses I chose to focus on largely were not, like, they largely came up on their own, with the exception of Crunchyroll, which you can consider not having come up on their own because they took venture funding, but that's neither here nor there. But so, and here's why I'm mad that nobody wants to solve problems in the American otaku community with regard to businesses fucking up. Faku, Culture Japan, J-List, Right Stuff. All four of these are grassroots organizations. They started from the bottom. Now they're here. Fucking
Argue that ADV was like that too. Because, and if you didn't know that, here's sort of proof I have of that. Like, the early stuff they did was literally out of the back of like a gentleman's club or some shit. Like, I remember reading that or hearing that somewhere, that they would literally have the raw and they would play it and they would translate it one dialogue line at a time, like in the back of this fucking place.
These old anime company stories are so wild.
Because it's like, holy shit, dude, that's fucking crazy.
It's like you're doing some
like that. It's like that joke that Wombat and myself made about how there's one dude working at Queen Bee in a fucking back of a storage or a freezer plant somewhere.
Yeah, like it. So like, I focus on those four, and again, you could argue Funimation, you could argue Crunchyroll. They did start grassroots, and then they took venture funding, which is legitimate, by the way. The only problem I have with Crunchyroll is they took venture funding, and then now they're trying to close the door behind them by shitting on other illegal streaming sites when they started at that. But that's neither here nor there. Four of the biggest brands in like Western otaku, in the Western otaku space, started out as very grassroots organizations. Faku was literally just a website, and now they're the biggest English language hentai distributor.
Conglomerate, if you will.
Right Stuff literally started as a guy who made a shell company, a literal shell company, to try and buy telescopes wholesale.
Interesting, but people didn't see that coming.
Hey, Biotaku entrepreneur, you'll find out more.
Gotta get the post hypnotic suggestion in there.
Yeah, of course. J-List was literally Peter Payne in his living room. And
now he sells you fine Onahole products.
And Danny Chu just fucking put in work his entire life. So
didn't he used to work for Amazon at one point?
He worked for Microsoft, he worked for Amazon, he worked for Japan Airlines.
Yeah, so he's been around.
So that's my issue. But this whole thing with the incestuous nature.
I get it. You're pointing out that it's not impossible. It's not even as hard as people are making it out to be.
Multiple people have done it. But this whole thing with the the incestuous nature of the U.S. industry is like, how many prominent voice actors do we know of who haven't been in the industry for at least a decade?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of too many new ones. Can you?
I know.
Now I'm not
Jessica
saying there
Negri, who
aren't
did
any.
like one role.
There very well might be a few. I mean, I'm not even a big dub person, but that's not to mean I don't pay attention. So it does sort of. I put it this way, and again, this is going to date me considerably. Like the last couple new people I could think of were people like Jessica Boone.
Hmm.
So there you go.
And so these people have been working in this industry for a very long time.
And again, it's insular. It is.
And
It's everybody knows everybody. It's really not that different from game journalism.
exactly. And when you get into the anime journalism side of it,
no, it's just as bad, if not worse.
it's difficult to look at.
You're not gonna break in unless you know somebody.
No, it's difficult to look at it's that, and like looking at Anime News Network and like Crunchyroll News and these other very prominent but otherwise random blogs like Anime Feminist. Some of the
I honestly will forget they exist, and then somebody will bring them up, and I'm like,
same
oh yeah.
here, honestly. But what's prominent is that like some of the people who write for Anime Feminist also write for Crunchyroll News.
And they're buddy with some of the A&N people.
Some of the people who write for Crunchyroll News also write for A&N on occasion.
Yeah, it is. They all know each other. It's very obvious if you just do some basic research, or even they're all on each other's podcasts and things like that.
And it's difficult to look at that and say, are these companies supposed to be in competition?
Because just looking at it from that perspective, you would think no.
No.
You'd think they're all part of some big like network or web ring.
Web ring.
Yeah, you like that?
But
speaking of web rings, remember the Anime Turnpike?
It's like the ruins of the internet now.
Like I guarantee. Well, I actually tried to go there not that long ago, and it was just broken. It like didn't even really load.
Figures.
Which was upsetting because it was kind of fun. I mean, yeah, you could look at the Wayback, I guess, and see what it used to look like. But like you would go there just even a few years ago, you would go there and there would be all those links, and like 90% of them were either broken or would lead you to malware or some shit. It really is, like you said, kind of the ruins of the internet. And there was some stuff that was actually still there. I couldn't believe it. Like Sakura's fan fiction archive. Assuming you even know what I'm talking about.
But like, so even among like the like, remember like maybe the early 2010s and earlier, like the Addy blog era before everyone was just on Twitter and everything went to shit.
Yeah, I actually had one of my own. Which point?
So it's
I
like,
still have mine.
I
don't use it much, but
so like there's almost zero potential for any of those people to break into the anime journalism space unless they're in some way connected to people in the establishment, which also tends to include agreeing with them politically.
Oh, for sure. Like it's very similar to Hollywood in that regard. Whereas anybody that's not like of the narrative that's being pushed or that everyone's lockstep with, you'll notice they just don't talk. They're just like, they keep their head down. Like that's not something they talk about publicly.
Like we talk about Hazukari, and we call him, again, we coined the term, an ascended rando. Because otherwise, there's no reason for him
should
to
they have a
be.
superhero cape?
I hope not.
Yeah, as if he wasn't already scary enough.
So yeah, you get ascended randos who basically come from anime blogs, but suspiciously don't appear to rock the boat in any way insofar as their perspectives go.
It's kind of like, and you probably might not know this, but maybe so. Like, okay, for a long time, years back, I was big into comedy, stand-up comedy. Just comedy in general, but stand-up comedy. All right? And what would happen is some person I'd never fucking heard of before would have a special. And it's like, okay, I mean, that, you know what I mean? Like they were some big deal before they were.
Yeah.
And that's not organic to me.
No.
It's nah, they know people or were engaging in favors or something. Because you would watch it closely and be like, I've never even fucking heard of this person before.
And like if it with regards to the anime journalism community, if it is organic, they're doing a really bad job at making it not making it look like it's not organic.
Like there's not some sort of stimuli or something going on under the hood.
Like there's not some sort of particular group of messages that they're trying to push and nothing else.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and again, if you look, it's almost top down because like if you look at anime voice actors, the same deal. Like those of which who probably have viewpoints that don't necessarily go lockstep with everyone else, they don't talk about it. That's just sort of like something they don't talk about. And they probably have to. Because because what ends up happening is you end up like Vic.
And if you're in
that
industry,
I'm not. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no, go ahead because that's important.
Now, what I mean by that is that even before, like, he was accused of his alleged misdeeds, people were still kind of crapping on him for other stuff, including his personal, viewpoints and everything else, because those kind of run contrary to what the Borg has decided.
Exactly, and if you're working in the voice acting industry and everyone around you is pissed at you, you're gonna have a bad time.
You're not gonna fucking give your real opinion on something.
Exactly.
That's a danger to your fucking job.
You're gonna have a very bad time in that industry.
A lot of musicians are like that too. Like they know that in that certainly before self-publishing and all that got big, like when record labels and stuff were still really ruling the roost, they knew that they couldn't cause ruffling that way. It would be bad.
Give me a second, because I know we might have talked about this on the podcast. I don't know if we did, but we had an instance where that did happen to a voice actress.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find it, because
he's doing some excavating over here.
It was kind of hilarious to me
some anime voice actress archaeology. Again, I vaguely remember us discussing something about this, but I don't remember when and where. And again, it's been a long time since we even had our last one, so
true.
So it's sort of like, okay, did we cover that? I don't remember. But is this somebody who tried out or whatever?
No. It was an established VA who they posted something in support of some right-leaning political thing.
And they got crucified for it.
People weren't happy about that. Here it is.
Okay.
Karen Strassman got
Oh,
hated
okay.
on for liking some Trump tweets, and the tweet I posted was, but wait, I thought VAs were people too, and they're allowed to express their political beliefs. And if you try to criticize that or don't want to support them because of that, you're a bad person. So like what? So VAs can go buck wild on Twitter complaining about Trump, but if somebody likes some tweets by Trump, that's
They
that's the
need to be
bad thing.
harangued and fucking deplatformed and everything else.
And listen, I honestly, regardless either way, uh, we, we can't have to. We need to keep the same energy. Either it's okay to have political views as a voice actor,
Or it's
or
fucking
it's not okay to have political views as a voice. And I don't.
Or
I
at
don't
least
even
in
say
the public
have
space.
political views, but don't associate that with your
with your job.
persona, with your job, with your brand.
Like there were literally a couple of these people I remember after the 2016 election that were having these meltdowns that would be considered unprofessional by any stretch. Like, I mean, like screaming about like how like, oh, people XYZ need to be fucking like killed or some shit like that.
Yeah. So yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's hyperbole, but some of these people are clearly unhinged.
well, it's
I
either one or
think we
the
should
other, but
wrap up.
pick one.
Yeah, I think we should wrap up this this topic.
Let's wrap up the topic. Here's my issue. Why is it that all of the companies that have like minus Crunchyroll, all the companies that are established have been around for like 20 years? Why is it that all the people in like the journalistic spaces all know each other and are friends? Why is it okay for people to post one side of political views but not the other side of political views? And all I'm saying is that and to bring it all the way home, there's an opportunity to not to say fix, not to say correct, because that would color it, and I don't want to color it. What I want to say is there's an opportunity for the people who have a problem with the culture as it stands to fix one aspect of the culture, to correct one aspect of the culture, to bring it more in line with what they think the culture should be, and that's with conventions.
So, yeah, I think the second segment sort of kind of dovetailed nicely into that, because that was something we were kind of tossing around as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a secret to anybody who's paying attention. I mean, really, nepotism runs rampant, and it's not even in just anime either. I mean, there's plenty of other places too, but I mean, it's specifically incestuous here.
Yeah, and the point is, it doesn't need to be. Some of the biggest brands that are around today are grassroots. Like, they did start from the bottom. Now they're here, and again, in just one particular part of the culture, there's the biggest opportunity in decades to make a massive shift, and it remains to be seen whether that will happen or not. I think it's going to happen on some level. Who knows? Anyway,
it might just all go down like a Hazukari situation. Who knows?
I fucking hope not.
Yeah, me too.
On that,
I'm
note,
already
that's the show.
giving myself nightmares with that fucking superhero cape mental image.
The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. The website is ntrradio.net. Check us out. Check VZ out. VZ stuff is at vzmk2moemekaгаtai.wordpress.com. His book is The Big Book of Idols. You can find it at thebigbookofIdols.com. My stuff is at yashk.moe and otakuentrepreneur.net. otakuentrepreneur.net/book is where you can find out more about the Otaku Entrepreneur book that's coming out this year. Check out Gaijin Show, Otaku Midnight, Asobi FM, the Geeky Panda stuff at thegeekypanda.net. All their stuff's pretty good.
Plug something real quick.
Go for it.
It's not even anime related, but I'll plug it anyway. There's this really great show called Forged in Fire, where they make weapons and stuff. It's really pretty sweet. It's one of the few television shows I can actually say I genuinely watch at this point. So if that sort of thing appeals to you, like bladed weapons or just like seeing how, because they're actually used, they're given to an actual relatively expert type people to kind of swing them around, into stuff and whatnot, so they can really tally their effectiveness and all that good stuff. It's pretty cool. Definitely worth a look if you're into that sort of thing.
Check out Forged in Fire. I am on Twitter at CAnubis. VZ is on Twitter at VZMK2. The show is on Twitter at NTR_radio. I'm Tom Force Anubis.
I'm K-Gads.
I'm VZ Mark II.
And even though we get put on a list every time we say it, this